Hey there, welcome back to the At Home Dive YouTube channel. As always, my name is Joey and today we're in the kitchen making something fantastic. Today, we're gonna make a classic red velvet cake with a variation of our classic cream cheese icing. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right in. So today on the counter we have a super simple list of ingredients here that we're going to start to go over, and we'll go over the things for the icing here in just a moment. But to start, we have 2 cups of AP flour, 1 teaspoon of table salt, half a cup of butter. This is chopped up so it can soften up a little bit faster. 1.5 cups of granulated white sugar, 2 eggs, a whole bunch of coffee. I'll be using 2 tablespoons of hot coffee, 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder as well. I'm gonna be using 1 teaspoon of standard red food coloring. You may need a touch more if yours isn't very strong. And I've also got 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, and 1 cup of buttermilk. And this is really all we're gonna need for the cake itself. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm gonna do, much like any other baking project, is I'm gonna preheat my oven. This time we're gonna preheat to 325 degrees so that it's ready whenever we get the batter ready for the cakes. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and prep the pans. I'm gonna rub the pans down in butter and then coat them in flour so that we get a nice even non-stick coating. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna whip our softened butter until it starts to become smooth and creamy. Then we're gonna add in the sugar. Now that the butter's soft and starting to fluff up, I'm gonna go ahead and add in the sugar. I'm gonna let this beat until it's nice and fluffy and smooth, and I may need to rake down the sides occasionally to help it incorporate properly. Now that the mixture is nice and fluffy in here, I'm gonna slowly add these eggs one at a time with the mixer running until they're fully incorporated. Now we're gonna go ahead and mix some of these ingredients and get them ready to go and get some of the stuff out of our way. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the salt into the flour and just give that a light mix. Now I can set this aside. Next I can go and add the baking soda into the buttermilk. Again, I'm just gonna give this a light mix and hold on to this for here in just a few minutes. Last, I'm gonna go ahead and add that mentioned 2 tablespoons of coffee and the 1 teaspoon of red food coloring, right in with the 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. I'm also gonna give these a light mix just to kind of help them incorporate. If any of these ingredients don't fully incorporate at this stage, it's more than fine because they're gonna be going into a larger mixture here in a little while. The first mixture that we're gonna add into the main creamed butter and egg mixture is gonna be the cocoa powder, coffee, and red food coloring. So I'm just gonna grab a spatula and rake as much of this down into the mixture as possible. So the next step is we're gonna add the flour mixture and the buttermilk mixture into our creamed mixture here that's already in the mixer. The important thing is we're gonna do this in stages. We're not gonna add too much of any ingredient at one time because we wanna alternate back and forth and keep the transition smooth. But we need to start with the flour mixture and end with the flour mixture as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start right here and go on very slow speed with the mixer, and then we're gonna slowly alternate back and forth. Now I'm simply going to take the batter and divide it evenly between the 2 cake pans. Now we're ready to go right into the oven at 325 degrees for approximately 35 minutes or until they pass the clean knife test.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, so we are back and it's been approximately 35 minutes. And we're gonna go ahead and take a look at these cakes. And we're gonna insert the knife slowly into somewhere around the center. And if you see it comes out very clean, that lets us know that the cake is cooked completely throughout. So we're gonna go ahead and let these cool all the way and then we'll make the icing.
One eternity later.
So these are fully cooled to the touch. So we're gonna go ahead and set those aside and go ahead and grab our mixer again. For the next step, once you've made sure that your mixer bowl and your paddle attachment are both really clean, and make sure they're totally free of red food coloring, we're gonna go ahead and put 8 ounces of cream cheese and 4 ounces or 1 stick of butter that's completely softened to room temperature in there. I've got vanilla extract, I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon, and I've got 2 cups of powdered sugar. These are gonna be what makes up our icing. For the first step, we're gonna beat the cream cheese and butter together in the mixing bowl until they're nice and smooth and fluffy. This may take a couple of minutes.
Next, we're gonna go ahead and add in the powdered sugar and the vanilla and beat until smooth again, making sure to rake down the sides.
So now we're gonna take our first cake and the plate that we're gonna go ahead and put the cake onto. I'm gonna try to center this or pretty close, and then I'm gonna flip it right onto the plate. And there we have it. There's the first layer of our cake. Now we're gonna start the icing process. I'm gonna start by taking a pretty generous dollop of the cream cheese icing and putting it right in the middle of the cake. Once I do that, I slowly work my way to the outside with a nice, even motion. Now we can apply the second layer of the cake. Now we just start the generic icing of the entire cake all together. This sometimes takes a second. So here is our beautiful, very simple red velvet cake. Sometimes I'll let the icing firm up a little bit if it's sealing a little bit too loose, and then I'll do one more run over whenever the icing has solidified. All right, we are back and we do have our completely finished red velvet cake. But if there's one way you want to add just a touch of excitement to it and make it not so plain looking, I have some chocolate covered espresso beans and a fine microplane. And what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to take these espresso beans and I'm gonna finely grate them right over the top. You can do as much or little as you want, but just a little bit of color and a whole lot of flavor in these little chocolate covered espresso beans. So there you have it. This is our finished red velvet cake. Let's go ahead and cut it and take a look. So as you can see here, we have nice, rich looking, thick layers with a nice layer of icing in between. Nice even cake. And over here you can see the slice. It looks fantastic. So let's dig in. Enjoy. All right, well that wraps us up on how to make red velvet cake with classic cream cheese icing. Comment below and let me know how yours turns out. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.